When I tell you transformation is an inside job, transformation is an inside job. And if you are serious about transforming your life, about making a difference in how the book of your life unfolds, then I've got some info for you. Welcome back to another episode of Rollerset to Mindset, where we get right to the point of how important it is to develop the right mindset to create whatever change you want in your life. And today I'm going to talk about 3 things that you can do to build your courage as you move forward into writing the book, creating a new chapter that you're trying to create in your life. But before we dive in, I got a pop question for you. And my pop question is this: what keeps you back from developing the courage that is needed to create new life experiences? Here is the thing. In order to cultivate the courage that is needed to transform your life, there are a few things you have to do. And the way to do it out of the gate is to acknowledge and understand your fears. And I know that sounds like, oh, acknowledge my fears. Okay, understand my fears. But it's not as easy as you think. Otherwise, you would have already done it. So what I want you to think about is this. You have to recognize and understand your fears and start to overcome them if the name of your game is writing and creating a new life chapter. And sometimes you've got to really dig deep to make these things happen. And sometimes you can find it right on the surface. Sometimes it's hidden in plain sight. I know there are certain activities I do to trick my mind to try and help me to act courageously as opposed to acting out of fear. One activity that I do that helps me, I call it fear identification. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of your top 3 fears, not 1,000, not 300, your top 3 fears, because you know that we know what those fears are. So I want you to, once and for all, work hard on really stepping outside of your fear. So make a list of your top 3 fears. And then I want you to reflect on why these fears exist, because there's always an underlying reason why our fears exist and why it keeps us stuck. And also think about how holding on to these fears is impacting your life. What is it keeping you from achieving? What is it prolonging? And then after you do that, say for instance, I have a fear for a long time. I had a fear, and sometimes still do, of driving in the rain on the interstate. Not just driving in the rain on the interstate, but at night, because years ago, I was in a terrible car accident while it was raining on the interstate at night. And ever since that accident, this was almost 25 years ago, I get a sense of fear, a sense of panic anytime it's raining and I have to drive on the interstate here in Charleston. And so a lot of times I'll stay in. A lot of times I refuse to meet friends out or meet my husband out for dinner because of the fear. If it's raining outside and if it's dark and the only route that I can get to where I'm going is via interstate, I have to really visualize myself doing it and doing it with ease. Otherwise, I'll be a nervous wreck trying to get from point A to point B. And so another thing you can do when it comes to being able to recognize and understanding your fear is to do a journal reflection, or just write in your journal. Grab yourself a piece of paper, grab yourself a pen and paper, and write about a time when you faced a fear and you overcame it. That reinforces your courage. And what did you learn from the experience when you faced that fear that held you captive? And once you do those two things, then I want to encourage you to affirm yourself. Start your day with positive affirmations. You can repeat phrases like, I am brave. I can overcome my fears. I am courageous. I am bold. I step out knowing that I am covered. I am protected. You would be surprised how something as simple as identifying your fear, journaling about your fear, and affirming your courage, how that could not just help you only to acknowledge, but help you to stand on top of your fears, to help you move forward from being stuck. Another thing that I do, and I recommend you do the same thing. Very simple thing. You'd be surprised. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to come from you don't have to be a rocket science to figure these things out. You just have to be willing to want to create the change in your life and to develop courage, build that courage muscle. And the thing is, take small steps towards your courage. You don't have to do big, bold, bodacious things. Take small, measurable steps when it comes to handling your fears and building that muscle and the mindset to be courageous. And what you'll find is you build it and you stack it, and you're building that muscle as you take on these small attainable things, small attainable steps. And you'll find yourself managing your fears a whole lot more. So this is a challenge I want to have you do. I want you to commit to doing one thing that scares you today. If you can't do it today, first thing tomorrow morning. Commit to doing one thing that scares you today. It can be something as simple as speaking up in a meeting. It can be simple as being the first to say hello to someone if you are a shy person, or trying a new activity, or reaching out to someone that you've been avoiding. It could be as simple as those things. You choose, but just make sure that it's something that scares you, something that gives you pause. And then what I want you to do is I want you to visualize, spend some time. It could be as little as 5 minutes. Spend that time visualizing yourself being successful, overcoming a fear or a challenge. Do you understand? Visualize yourself 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Visualize yourself successfully overcoming that fear or that challenge. And then I want you to focus on the positive outcome and how you're going to feel after you take that step. You would be surprised how doing something as small as that turns into something big. I always say big things have small beginnings. And when you start small, it gives you the courage and the momentum to try something else, and then try something else, and then try something else. And next thing you know, you are on your way to exercising the courage that I know you have in you. Start small and then build big. And the third thing, and listen, this is the kicker here, because if you don't do this, you will find yourself lost. You will find yourself lost. You can do 1 and 2, and if you don't do number 3, You can be lost. You constantly be starting over. And that is to reflect on all the good that you accomplish and then plan for continued growth. Because remember, transformation is an inside job, but it's also a continuous walk towards growth. It's always a course and correct. You are never finished. That's just not how life works. You're never finished. So reflect on your progress and create a plan for continuously building that courage until next thing you know, you got some big, bulky, strong muscles, courageous muscles. So this is what I want you to do. There's a thing called progress reflection. You know, that's just like patting yourself on the back. You know, progress reflection. Flex. Once you've achieved a thing, go ahead and flex. You deserve that. Write about your experience over the past few days of you exercising your courage. And then I want you to ask yourself, what fears did you face that after you faced them, oh, it seemed so small. Something that seemed or felt like would be insurmountable became easy. No issues, okay? And how did you feel after taking those courageous actions? I know you felt good. And I know you got that shot of dopamine. So I'm suggesting that you do it again. Continue to grow, continue to move in a forward direction. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to do the goal setting part of that. You want to set one long-term goal that requires courage to achieve. And see, that's how you build on it. You start small, you achieve it. You start small, then you achieve it, and you're stacking on that. And then you reflect, and then you can encourage yourself to the point where I want to do more. I want to do more. So you set one long-term goal that requires courage to achieve. What type courage? The courage that you already built. And then you break it down, break that long-term bigger goal, break it down into smaller actionable steps. And before you know it, you've already achieved a goal that you did not believe that you could achieve. That's right. And so now what you want to do is create a future commitment, because that's all this is all about. It's about PFF, past, present, and future you. So you want to create a future commitment. Make a commitment to continuously practice courageous actions daily. It doesn't even have to be an action. It could be a courageous thought. You know, you want to fill yourself up, fill your mind up, fill your body up, fill your spirit up with courageous action, courageous thoughts, courageous gestures. And then I want you to identify 3 ways, 1, 2, 3, 3 ways you can incorporate courage building activities into your daily routine. Simple enough. So let's recap this. You want to begin when it comes to unlocking your courage and taking bold steps into creating a new life chapter for yourself. When it comes to creating that internal transformation, that idea of being transformed by renewing your mind, this is what you want to do. First, you want to do what? Acknowledge and understand your fears. Not just acknowledge it, take it a step further to understand your fears. And we've talked about the ways in which to do that. Recognize and understand your fears to start overcoming them. The second thing you want to do that we have already talked about is take small steps towards your courage. How do you eat an elephant? As they used to say, one bite at a time. How do you write a book? One sentence, one word at a time. Not just one sentence, one word at a time. Through daily action, through visualizing, and through soliciting support from the people who you know got your back. And the third thing you want to do, is reflect on all the courageous action that you took. And after you reflect and become comfortable with it and reinforcing it and affirming yourself, then you want to plan for continuous growth. That's what you want to do. You want to reflect on your progress. You want to set even larger goals. But even in setting those larger, scary goals, you still want to break it down into mini size bites, actionable steps. And of course, you want to keep in mind future commitments. Make a commitment to continuously practice courageous action daily, courageous thoughts daily, courageous gestures daily, and keep on keeping on. I know you can do this because, see, here's the thing. When it comes to change, when it comes to transformation, it's not about, sometimes you can't measure it in the physical. Sometimes you can't measure it from what you can see, and you certainly don't want to measure it by what other people see. Because a lot of times when you take that action, the change takes place internally. That's just like planting a seed in the ground. You don't see that seed germinate because everything has a different gestation period. But in the darkness, on the inside, underneath the dirt, underneath the soil, things are happening. Things are changing. And as that seed is being watered, and as it's getting sun, and as it's getting fertilization, then you begin to see a little breakthrough through the soil. And then you begin to see a little bud. And the next thing you know, you have a whole tree. You have an entire tree that has bared fruits. And it's the same with you. Every action you take that's positive, that's encouraging, you're changing, you're transforming yourself on the inside. And you can trust and believe me, whatever you plant, you shall reap. You sow, whatever you sow, you reap. So continue to be courageous. Continue to encourage yourself. Continue to affirm yourself. And before you know it, courage will be your middle name. I'll talk with you soon. And you know what? I hope you got something from this episode. And if you did, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so much. It allows me to get more of this type of content out to you. I want you to hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube, so you'll get notified every time I drop a video. Make a comment, share it, do whatever you can to keep me bringing this stuff. I'll be so ever grateful, and I'll talk with you soon. Okay? Bye. Mwah.